And the topic for this discussion is PSUs at the forefront, advancing digital India, Atmanirbhar Bharat and economic growth. To do the honors, may I request moderator, Mr. Jaspreet Singh, partner and clients and market leader, advisory services, Grant Thorton. Everybody please put your hands together for our moderator, Mr. Jaspreet Singh. Thank you, sir. May I request our speakers, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Chand, Director Finance, Cement Corporation of India Limited. Please join us, sir. May I request Mr. Manoj Kumar Agarwal, Executive Director, Grid Controller of India Limited. Sir, please join us. Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Executive Director, Bridge and Roof Company, India Limited. Mr. 𝗧𝗿𝗃𝗃𝗃, Program Director, MeitY Startup Hub, Government of India. Mr. Suneel, Wattal, Principal Consultant, Noida Center of Excellence, MPSEDC, State IT Center, Madhya Pradesh. Everybody please put your hands together for all the speakers and our moderator. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Guys, can we have some energy in the room? We're going to spend next 1 hour probably discussing the future of economic growth of India, everything that's been spoke about in the last panel. By this, we just would want to take it to 10x times, right? And who would have thought that in a PSU conference, we're talking about Atmanirbhar India, we're talking about the next wave of digitization. If you look at any of the digital transformation issues or look at ESG everywhere, PSU is in the forefront, or I would say the core center of it all. Who would have imagined this 20 years ago when we were a pure play services economy? With that, I would like to start with you, Mr. Manoj. Your opening comments, please.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. It's okay? First of all, I would like to thank for inviting me for this occasion, and particularly the system operator. Actually, you might not be knowing, I'm from the Grid Controller of India Limited, Grid India, and our basic role is for the to ensure reliable and secure grid operation of the country. So we are an asset-light company, and in the opening remarks, just I would like to say that we all know that we are going for the clean energy transition, and for clean energy transition there is a need for large-scale integration of variable energy resources like wind and solar. So in that case, the first and the foremost requirement for the integration of such a large-scale to integrate such a large-scale variable energy resources, which you all know it is highly intermittent, variable, uncertain generation is there, and for that there is a need for proper scheduling and forecasting. So we are using the latest digital technology like artificial intelligence and machine learning for the forecasting and scheduling technology. So this is a must now, and I can say that to achieve the transition of achieving the target of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel integration, and this is the way without digital using the digital technology and other things, it is not possible at all, and Grid India is taking a leading step in that. Just for information of all the participants, our Indian grid is the third largest grid in the world, and be it in terms of generation capacity or transmission capacity, and in renewable also in the for solar and wind we are the fourth largest country in the world. And if you consider the national synchronous grid, though India and China are the larger than Indian grid, but as a national synchronous grid, India is the #1 because we are all entire Indian grid is synchronously connected. So that way, just for the information of the participant, we are the largest national synchronous grid in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manoj. Mr. Pradeep, your opening comments, please.
Thank you, everybody, for inviting. I express my deep gratitude to the organizer who has invited me to this occasion. This is emerging topic, digital transformation, so far as the PSU is concerned. So basically, I'm Director of Finance of Cement Corporation and a finance background. I have worked in 3-4 core sector, that is fertilizer, power, petroleum gas, and I was working as a subsidiary of GAIL India Limited, and now in Director of Finance Cement Corporation. So I'll give the backdrop of the issues and issue which revolves around the PSUs and how PSU can impact the decision of government and other things. So basically, the rule of the business now has changed. In every business, there is expanding new technologies and new emerging disruption, which are transforming the business process, which are transforming the existing business model and processes. Many fundamental rules of business and assumption has changed. The assumption, fundamental rules, assumption that govern and grew in the pre-digital area now no longer hold good. So that doesn't mean that the business in the pre-digital era become dinosaurs, doomed to extinction. But the business can be transformed by the PSUs themselves to remain in the competitive road and to thrive in the digital age also. So you can take, I will give the example of the Kodak. You may be knowing that it's a first digital camera companies in the world. Digital did not realize the need of digital evolution and ended up as a dinosaur in the business world. Similarly, take the example of Nokia, the first company in the world for cellular network. So they also did not recognize the digital revolution. Nokia ended as a dinosaur in the business. So what happened? So the basic condition is that for PSU or any business, digital transformation is not about technology. So vision must be clear. It is not about technology. It is about the business strategy, about leadership, the new way of thinking, upgrading the strategy thinking and way of leadership. So there is very distinction. So you must, before implementation any digital transformation, which is in fact business transformation so far PSU is concerned, there must be clear vision. So it is business transformation is not digital transformation. In fact, all digital transformation involve digital transformation. So this is the basic concept. Today digital transformation are transforming every aspect of business. Use of technology to define the future state, how the disruption in business can occur. So this technology has a tremendous impact. The truth apparent lies in the changing role of technology leadership within the business. Much more strategic, focused on the using technology to reimagine and reinvent the core business itself. Digital transformation require holistic view of the business strategy within the 5 domains. That is customers, competition, data, innovation and value. These are the 5 core dimensions of digital transformation.
Thank you, sir. We'll come back to you for a much more detailed thing. Okay. But thank you for talking about Kodak and also talking about digital. Both of you touched on that, saying, it's not actually digital transformation, it's more business transformation, which has to be led by digital. Mr. Rajesh Kumar, your opening comments, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to thank the organizers and Jaspreet, our moderator, for giving the opportunity to share my views with all of you. As far as PSUs are concerned, the formation of PSUs, we have to understand what was the causes for formation of PSUs. At that point of time, India needs industrialization, India needs employment, to have where private sector was not able to cope up with the requirements, what was required at that point of time. As such, PSUs were formed, and with the time, private sector also enter the industrialization with the huge investments. And PSUs are growing also and having good in the part of economy. We can say the backbone of the economy as we are going for 4 trillion economy, and I think around 15% share is from PSUs only. PSUs are always having changed adaptabilities according to the environment and requirements of the nation. Whenever the government of India also feels that we have to push up something, the PSUs are at forefront always. The concern about PSUs about profitability, which needs to be improved, as we have to at least at par with the inflation or even more than that. As regard ESG digital formation, certainly PSUs are playing a pivot role in all these areas to have achievement of goals of Government of India. Thank you, dear.
Thank you. We'll come back to you. I think, I think PSUs were need of the hour then, about 40, 50 years ago. PSUs were the need of the hour then. The country needed them. And I think, ask anybody, it is also the need of the hour now. With whatever we are grappling with from a macroeconomic situation perspective, I think PSUs will still be our flag bearers as we move towards 2047, when we celebrate 100 years of independence. Mr. Surya, your opening comments.
Thank you.
Please.
So Jaspreet, I would just like to add one more line what you said. So it's I believe that it's a forefront pillar for the government engagement, especially when you talk about the digital India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, or anything, any sector. So earlier the mandate or the curation of the PSUs was something else, but now with this objective, it is like at a bigger level they are trying to contribute. Not trying, they are contributing for the country economy. So I'm coming from Ministry of Electronics and IT, one division called MeitY Startup Hub, where we focus with almost all the 3 verticals which you can see in this session, particularly talking about the digital India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, or economy growth. Like the sir mentioned about the power grid or even the cement corporation limited. So we support startup through various schemes, and not only through the various schemes, but also we take this startup, provide the startup a digital platform to engage themselves with the industry, academia, international or investment community. So for example, like power grid has providing the electricity or the solar electricity. They are the people who have extra electricity in terms of the power consumption. So they might giving them certain amount. Our startup is taking the solar power back from these respective household owners and using those power to provide the charging point for the e-vehicles. So these are the kind of startup which we have. So currently we have somewhere around 1500 plus startup, and we have 800 crore of the schemes through which we are trying to support the startups. Furthermore, in the communication, I'll be sharing more about that, what exactly we are trying to do. Thank you, Jaspreet.
Thank you so much. I think very, very interesting understanding PSUs playing a role in startups. As we come back for more deliberations, I think that would be very, very interesting, because what is the first image when you talk about PSUs, right? It's the large system like IBMs of this world. And there was a book written by a ex-IBM CEO which said, how can elephants dance? I think very, very applicable to our society also on how can PSUs change, right? With whatever is happening from an IT digital transformation perspective. Your opening comments, please, Mr. Suneel.
Okay. So since we are talking about digital transformation, and we said there's a big focus on economy, the economic growth of the country, I think digital transformation goes hand in hand with process reengineering. You mentioned process reengineering, business process transformations earlier. Today, business process transformations would not happen without digitization and without automation. So digitization and automation goes hand in hand with it. But in order to become if you take a step back, in order to become a big economy, you need to have ease of doing business, and as we saw in the morning session, ease of doing business has an inherent factor of ease of living. So how do you get into ease of living? It's only when you have ease of living you will get ease of doing business. And ease of living is related with citizen services. Coming from an e-governance perspective and coming from a government setup, coming from an e-governance perspective, I think we have contributed a lot into automation and the digitization of processes where citizens get their services online. I remember when I made my first passport, it took me almost 4 months. And today, a passport
24 hours.
You get it in 24 hours. So from that perspective, I think, and again, PSUs have a big role because whatever programs government has, whether it's digitization, in order to take it to the grassroots levels, it is the PSUs and the government agencies which facilitate implementation of those programs.
Very important. Likewise, when you would have made your first passport, there would be no tracking mechanism.
Yeah.
Where is it? Has it been printed, posted, etc.? Now everything is tip of the, at your fingertips. The information is available.
And
I remember
I'll just add to that, because there are certain governments who have actually now implemented right to service, and you have SLAs attached with customer services, with citizen services. For example, I know about Haryana government, they have an SLA for each citizen service. If a birth certificate is to be given, there's an SLA of, let's say, 10 days or 15 days, and you can track it. If you go beyond 15 days, you can always escalate it.
Wow. So thank you so you learn something in every panel, right? I was not aware of these SLAs. And now let's start with you, Mr. Suneel. Change management or getting PSUs to change, adapt to this new digital transformation, digital first mindset. What are some of the challenges, if each one of you can talk about few challenges for 3 to 4 minutes on what are the main challenges that you see from a mindset perspective, people perspective, to getting the PSUs to change? Or is it just a myth? Seriously,
it is not a myth. It is a reality, because there is a general resistance to change. People have been doing things the way they've been doing it for 20 years. Overnight, you tell them the system has changed. That is one. Second, what happens is digitization brings in accountability and transparency. So there could be vested interests, especially in the government setups, where people would not want that transparency and accountability to come upfront. So that's the biggest reluctance, and we've seen it a lot of times. That's the biggest reluctance to change. People would not want transparency. They would not want digitization to happen, or if at all it happens, it would not. It shouldn't impact some of the aspects that they look into.
Wow, I had heard transparency before, but the way you've described it is pretty amazing, right? I've never looked at it from this lens. Thank you. Mr. Surya, your thoughts on this, please. So let's talk about challenges.
Absolutely. So everybody is aware about the fact that whenever we try to launch any scheme, so grant is the first and foremost thing which government used to provide earlier also. We also started with the grant mechanism to provide to the startups, but we moved a level ahead of this. So rather than putting government money in grant only, what we introduced the first time by any of the central government entities, that we will be providing grant as well as it will be a equity based grant. So how it will be going to work, that let's imagine that there are 40 lakh rupees of the grant which we are providing to the startups, but we may take up to 2% of the equity from the startups. For the future course of the action, it will become a self-sustainability model for us. Each of the time, if you are trying to launch every year a new scheme, somewhere around 100 or 200 or 500 crore right now, we have to seek money from the government pocket. After 5 years, just I'll put a quick figure with what we have right now. Somewhere around 200 plus startup we have invested so far on the grant-based equity. As on December 2023, the last valuation of these startups were 5,000 crore plus.
Sorry, how much did you invest and how much is the
So the
valuation?
investment was somewhere around 70-80 crores as of now.
And 5,000 crores is
The valuation of those startups to whom we have invested.
5,000 crores.
It was on December 2023. We are 1 year
Later.
past.
And it would have almost 1.5 times more from that.
So just imagine after 5 years, if we have to launch a new government scheme for the startups, right? For example, our recently launched scheme called Genesis, which is 500 crore of the fund size. Now, after 5 years, we don't have to seek even a single penny from the government for 500 or 1,000 crore of the schemes. If
Balki, in fact, you could now contribute and give back, right?
exactly.
Those
So the
4,900 crores, you know, is wealth that you are giving back to the society.
So what you were asking, that transformation, when we introduced this mechanism, not only into our ministry, but also it become a kind of case study for the other ministry, and they were asked to consult with the MeitY Startup Hub that how they have developed the grant mechanism with equity.
No, so Suryakant, I want to come back to my question. This is excellent stuff, right? But when you would have incubated this program, right? And you would have said that I will give money to startups, knowing the role of PSUs, knowing the setup within our country, bureaucratic setup, right? How tough it was to maneuver those.
Exactly. So I am coming to that point.
Yeah.
So it was very hard to convince even the government officials that as of now there is no such equity-based mechanism introduced by any government entity, and why you are proposing this. So we generally, because we just simply said that this statement that as of now, for example, if we have 200 crore of any government scheme, we put those money in grant, it will go to somewhere around 100, 200 or 500, whatever startup number we have finally decided. But we don't know whatever and whenever this money is being utilized with the right people or not, what will be the outcome. If few of the startup has been already, dropped their business idea. Just imagine if the few of the startup, we put this case in front of the senior officials, that if few of startup are doing quite well, and if we were able to do exit, in that case, the government money will be completely utilized. So we'll get our money back, not our money, but additional money, so that we can able to launch a new scheme itself.
Or we can fund 10 more startups.
Exactly. So that is the what we put even the mandate while curating this scheme, that whatever amount we'll be getting in the return from this investment, we'll put those money again for the investment purpose and the scheme making purpose, not for the operational purpose. So we already curated those mandates. So that's quite interesting, because everything what we are doing, that is focus with the digital innovation. Obviously, Atmanirbhar Bharat and these startups are contributing for the national economy growth.
Excellent points, right? While I was doing some research before agreeing to moderate such an esteemed panel, one of the key things that I looked at it, and let's go back again to 1970s types, right? And they said, what was PSU's biggest role in India? To give everybody roti kapda makan, right? And with what you just explained now, I think PSUs are going 10 times ahead of that, right? And which is not only making sure that the country is forefront of every discussion, every transformation happening in the globe, but also pioneers in taking young entrepreneurs ahead and, making a better working world for everybody. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Subhash, your comments, please.
Rajesh.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I have a wrong order. Sorry.
As Mr. Suneel rightly said, that it is general resistance to change always. It is human mindset. Whatsoever routine we are in, daily routine even, in our personal life, in case there is any change, certainly it will take some time to get adapted to that change. And in case of corporate world, where average age of the employees is a little bit higher, in that case, there is resistance for change, especially in field of digitalization. So, but that is very much required. We have to be change adaptable, and in our organization, in Bridge and Roof Company India Limited, in the last 3 years, what I had seen, there are a lot of changes in the mindset and as well as in the digitalization.
So
we
what,
have introduced
what is your organization doing? Excellent point. To
our,
change the
our
mindset.
organization Bridge of Company and Liberties is in the construction and EPC and as well as PMC.
So how are you changing the mindset? One thing
there
is,
are 2-3 things.
Right.
One is first we will talk like digitalization. We had introduced real-time accounting. We had introduced centralized payment system. We had introduced asset management system and various other initiatives we had taken.
from a digital perspective.
Yes. And that also brings transparency, certainly. And with that, the life of people, the life of the employees is also getting easy. Not only this is for transparency. When you are having system in place, certainly the accuracy is there, the life of them
Faster, it also becomes decision making.
Also.
Yeah.
Another thing in execution part, there was mindset that projects are always delayed. This is the common mindset among all Indians.
Yeah. Today also people think PSUs, everything to do with PSUs is delayed.
Yes, but during these last 3 years, I have noticed that we have won various awards also. We had done one IAVL project we are doing at Pradeep, and we are the fastest among them. So, we have achieved that. So, change adaptability is always have a resistance, but that is the only way for digitalization, for anything. You have to change according to environment and according to requirement of the
And
time.
you mentioned a very interesting point on people slightly older, right? Because they've been in PSUs for 20, 30 years, right? Do you think whenever people spoke about challenges, opportunities, resistance to change, there was a lot of coaching, mentoring also required to people from an art of possible perspective?
Certainly.
Was that something?
Certainly, with all these things, we would be able to achieve that. We are able to achieve many changes, and I would like to say that with this, the turnover per employee 3 years back and now is 3 times in our company.
Superb. I think this actually deserves a round of applause, right? You know, PSU is talking about
3 times in 3 years.
In 3 years,
Yes.
moving 3 times, which would have earlier happened probably 3 times in 20 years.
Might be.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Mr. Pradeep, your comments, please.
As I told, this transformation is PSU is changing the established business. Although Indian corporation, big NTPC and other GAIL India Limited, they are much ahead of the using the automations, artificial intelligence, using data analytics. But major problem is that government regulations, Data Privacy Act, and leadership culture. So as I told, it is a change of leadership mindset. Because, you know, in PSU, why PSU are blamed for the inefficiencies? And why PSU are not be globally competitive? Now, if digital transformation is a way of life, it is a compulsion for PSU to go for the digital transformation, otherwise we will become dinosaur in the business. So now, all the PSUs have to adopt the global business standard relating to sustainability, return to accounting, return to auditing. So adopting the global business standard is a risk for India, and India government has to think critically the regulation change, Data Privacy Act, because for any success of PSU, 3 things factor. That one is governance, risk management and control. Now, disrupting risk is coming. If you are not managing the risk, it will directly affect your governance system. Then automatically internal control failure. And this PSU in long term will become again dinosaur in the business world. So now all big PSUs, you can see this Indian Oil Corporation, IOC, BHL, they are maximum focusing on the digitizations. And although they are upscaling and upgrading their manpower, and many PSUs, other PSUs also lagging behind. 70% PSUs are lagging behind. In my corporation, when I was a head of internal audit, I tried to implement data analytics, preventive maintenance, which is real-time data management. It can analyze a machine and show what downtime is there, when the machine will break down, but there is resistance. Technical people, they don't understand the thing. They don't implement the data analytics. It's real facts. So now it is a compulsion. We have to do it. Otherwise, we cannot survive in the business world. So the 3 things you take care: governance, risk management, internal control. And this is the, I think, the 5 domain of digital transformation, that is customer, competitions, data, innovation, and your efficiencies. So 3-5 sectors you have to take care. And all digital, you have to embrace the digital latest technology, that AI, IoT, and analytics, and all things. Because almost all the global players, they have started it, and Indian PSU has to upgrade their employees. That doesn't mean the old employees, they are not able to do this thing, but PSU people they have come from the good academic background. It doesn't mean the age, but you have to change the mindset. Proper training, they have to give the governance guidance. If you do this, what is the implication? There must be shared clear vision among the employee of the PSU, because normally they don't want to change. They fear of apprehension that they may lose their job, something transparency will come out, accountability will fix. That is the main problem for the PSUs. Even if we think go for the best suggestion, there is a hurdle from bureaucracy, there are hurdle from ministries, because everything has to be changed as a whole, holistic view to be taken, and for the developing digital strategy. So how do you take the holistic views? Then government has to give support. All the PSU are getting good supports for changing the policy advocacy. And you know that these data privacy rules. If you go for the analytics and using all the things, there is a big problem for the Data Privacy Act. So there is huge penalty punishment of the PSUs. We are not a private sector, we cannot do unethical things. But you have to be ethical as well as you have to adopt the technology. That is the problem for PSUs. So a lot of problem despite that. Big PSUs, they are, you can say this Maharatna company, they are started, they are doing the excellent job. But other PSUs, small PSU like us, we are struggling. And we don't, because it's capital intensive. And people are not aware of the benefits. What benefit will get? There is no clear vision in PSU. How to go for digitization and to implement, that is the problem. But somehow it will take time, but PSU has to adopt it. Thanks.
Sir, I'll come back to you when we, finish with, sir, on the vision piece, right? And probably everybody can think about how can we take this vision forward from a 2047 perspective. You said there is resistance to change, etc., etc. But what are you doing internally to move ahead of the curve from all of those perspectives? How are you overcoming these challenges?
Visions.
Yes.
So for visions that you have to take care first of all, you must go for the digital transformation. You have to make a PPC, public-private partnerships, because PSU have huge resources, infrastructure, but PSU lacks innovations, skills, which private people have. So PP...
Is it the case, I'll probably open it to a few other panelists, right? Where we are seeing that PSUs have a lot of infrastructure, but lack skills. Is skills really an issue for PSUs?
It's again a debatable point. Skills, yes, definitely is an issue, because PSUs have to create their own, they have to create that credibility, they have to create that image where they attract better skills. Today, attracting the right skills is slightly challenging, because you see a lot of brain drain happening from PSUs, people joining and leaving, or people not sticking around. So you have to create that environment, you have to create a proper environment where people stick and you attract better talent.
I can imagine.
I think that goes with the good people policies. It has to be, I would again rephrase it, they have to be more people-centric as they are right now.
Right, because again, I'll keep drawing parallels to maybe 20 years ago, 20, 25 years ago. PSUs were a dream job, right? Yeah. Everybody fresh out of engineering college wanted to join a PSU, right? But now, is it the case? Probably, no, probably not.
I don't think it is, because when we go for campus hirings, I've been a part of my earlier roles, I have done a lot of campus hirings. People wouldn't prefer, PSUs would not be the top of the line. And that is because the people policies, they need to formulate better people policies, they need to be more people-centric and attract talent.
Perfect.
So Mr. Manoj. I'll add one point in this, because for this, PSU has to create a synergy between private and public. Because private company, they have the innovation, they have the technology, and PSU has the infrastructure and money. So combining this, PSU can march ahead and it will develop the economy, because a lot of PSU in cement corporation, we are having huge resources, but we don't have any technology and efficient manpower. Skill is lacking. So if you have a partnership with the private company or global player, we are trying for that, then this resource can be channelized for the betterment of the economy.
But that's a very good point. You know, from a public-private partnership perspective, the PSUs have all the resources you can ever think of. And private would have that innovation edge, that aggressiveness, to use, for lack of a better word, right? To innovate, to stay ahead of the curve. And then if we can merge both of these, then I think sky is the limit from a digital transformation or any other perspective. And it also then would help, like sir, you said, elevating the brand of PSUs, right? I think there is a lot of good work also being done, whatever I've heard from my fellow panelists. But I don't think so it's advertised, or if a private company would be doing the work that you are doing, for example, in data analytics or anything, they would make 100 case studies, present it everywhere, right? But are our PSUs doing that? Probably, to me, I think the answer is no. Sir, your comments, please.
Before answering this question, I would just like to say something about your previous question.
Please. I was coming to you,
So, regarding the organizational cultural point of view, particularly from Grid India perspective, I can say there is no challenge. If you see the cultural perspective regarding moving towards digitization. But one challenge we are facing is the cyber security. Ours is the very critical infrastructure. Grid operation is a very critical infrastructure, and for our business operation, we are moving towards digitization, but it involves a lot of data transactions, and cyber threat is the biggest concern for us. So for that also we had install the next generation security operations center, but still you can't be sure. And grid operation is such a critical activity. Suppose there is a grid failure, even one incident can cause the grid failure, and it could be a loss of billions of loss to the society. So that is the biggest challenge in moving towards digitization.
So I think you made a very valid.
But we have to go for that. We can't. But as far as our organization culture is involved, your question is how you motivate the employee to. So there is not an issue at all. And in fact, luckily some person has thought the age of the organization might be the concern, but luckily we have a very young organization. Our average age is 36 years only.
Superb. No, so I think two things, right? One, you mentioned about cyber risk, right? It is saying there is a risk of accident, hence I will not drive on the road. You have to take your risks, but you have to also put in effective measures from a cyber security perspective. I do a lot of work in cyber. So just want to say, in private companies, if there is a breach, etc., it's maybe loss of finance, loss of reputation. But in PSUs, it can be loss of lives, right? For example, in grid, if somebody changes something and a grid, gives more electricity or whatever, right? In cement business, somebody can change the machine dynamics, the temperature, which is the machine, if it's operating at 50 degrees, becomes 150 degrees. It can lead to loss of human life. So I think with digitization, there are a lot of things that you would need to look at side by side: skilling, cyber security, return on investment, ease of doing business. All of those pieces, I think, are going to be very key pillars whenever you decide to transform your or write your business justification documents.
Yeah. Now that's what I was telling you. If you see 3-4 years before, we had never thought we will have to install the security operations center in the country, 24/7 security operations center in our premises. But it is such a critical task. So we are, the risk is there, but we have to, risk mitigation control has to be there. So that's why we are taking all the measures, and communication system is one of the biggest challenge from where the cyber threats is. So for our OT systems, it is a physically separate communication network is there.
From IT and OT, so you've segregated it.
From IT and OT, it is totally, we have to maintain the physical separation also.
I will add to one point.
Yeah, please.
Regarding the cyber securities, So as you told that in PSUs are putting much stress on the cyber security and risk management. And I was involved in the risk management in a petrochemical complex where hazardous risk, globally, all over world, whatever the risk we are mapping. So PSU was more particular this risk management, and they are spending crores of rupees. You can say around 5 to 10 crores they are spending on the cyber security because the risk is take the lives. So safety is the first, and PSU is much cautious on this, and risk management is very strong. Is much stronger than the private companies. So I have worked as a chief risk officer, and I have implemented this risk management system in petrochemical complex, and hardly there is 2-3 risk. And before that any risk occur, we take the lesson from the globally, whatever risk happen anywhere, any incident, that will come to our websites. So we again map what are the lapses. So before anything occur, we can predict the future. So that is the beauty of the digital transformation analytics. It is the, as an astrologer, you can predict the future. What will happen in the 5 years, you have to predict now. It is a radar. So I need not emphasize on these transformation issues, but PSU is much cautious on the cyber securities. Is a top priority risk. Globally, cyber security is risk one, number one risk. Thank you.
Perfect. Sir, I'd like to start with you this round. Probably.
Jaspreet, just a quick fact, if I may add. So whatever both of the gentlemen said, exactly. So these are the area where MeitY Startup Hub is playing a role. For example, that you must have seen that most of the PSU have launched the different innovation program for the startups. We have been through all of these programs, but we came as a result from these respective officials that the program outcome is not as much as they were expecting to be. However, like quoting about the cyber risks, digital security and all those components, what we recommend to these PSU that jointly, why don't you get a solution about these problems from the startup itself? So it will be win-win situation for the both of the parties. So startup will able to provide you the solution for your cyber threat, digital or whatever the problem statement you have. So we can jointly launch the challenge. Similar to the public-private model what we said. So you must have heard about the Google for Startup program which is ongoing right now across the country. So we are in the 3rd year of this Google for Startup program. It's an example of like how public-private partnership is working. In last 2 years of the 2 cohorts, we launched a Google 𝗧𝗿𝗃𝗃 program and we supported 100 startups in each of the year. This year it's a bigger than the previous year. And also talking about the outcome for this program, for the 200 startups to whom we have supported in last 2 years, Google organized a demo day for these startups in front of the investor. These startups were able to raise 350 crore of the external fund from the investor. So that is how the startups are also getting benefited, investors are also getting benefit. Similar to the public, like for example, BSF came to us that they would like to have a solution for anti-tunnel detection machine. So we launched this challenge and a startup called 𝗧𝗿𝗃𝗃. We did a field trial with this startup, and even though in one of the event, our Prime Minister has taken the demonstration that how the startup is working.
Right.
So that is the example that where we are playing the role for these kind of problem and solution.
Superb. Yes, sir.
I would like to add in PPP that certainly private sector as well as public sector, both are having some pros and cons. In case of PPP model, certainly those will be benefited for the country.
Yeah, both pros can come together.
Yes, both pros can come together and will be benefited for the country as a whole for economic growth. And as far as manpower is concerned with PSUs, I have a little different view that expertise in PSUs have no match. There is no match as far as
I wanted to say that, but you know, I thought I would be beaten by 4 people on the stage. Some of the best talent in our country, at least again, frame of reference 15-20 years ago, I think used to work for PSUs.
But we still have those manpower, expert, those who are now experts, and those who were earlier interested in PSUs. To join PSUs. Nowadays, because of the handsome salaries offered by private sector and some of the, you can say, decision-making powers as well as autonomy type, they are preferring private sector. But even then, PSUs, the way PSUs are recruiting, This is the best, and we are having expert manpower. And the turnover, manpower turnover is very little. Although brain drain is there, no doubt, but there is no such huge manpower turnover, which is in private sector.
Yeah,
In
private sector, I can
people
tell
used
you.
to change very frequently.
No,
But in
private
PSU is
sector,
not such.
I can tell you in private sector,
There is
people,
one catch only, that we have to recruit as per the government policies, and we have to follow those rules. And sometimes some people may be like that, okay, they are not performing as, but over the period of time, with experience, they are also.
no, absolutely. In fact, I can tell you, and maybe there are many people sitting from private sector here, retention of people is the biggest challenge that private sector is today grappling with in today's scenario. And I know so many people, and I can give it like an Excel sheet of 65,000 roles, right, where people call me and say, Jaspreet, you know what, I've completed 3 years, kuch hai kya? Well, you know, it's just, and my dad used to work for IOCL. He spent 35 years.
Yes.
First to end. No 3-year cycle jump that is happening in private. No, thank you for bringing that. Sir, I'd like to start. Yeah.
So it is certain that these people from a bright academic background comes to PSU. But what happened in PSU, the people don't upgrade, because to relevant in the business, you upgrade the latest knowledge of the any regulation, any laws. So I am from finance background. So if I doesn't know the law, regulation, accounting, auditing standard, global standard, my job is nowhere. So due to automation is coming, accountant's value may be less. But one thing that everything cannot be replaced by the machine. So PSC people, they don't upgrade. They never remain relevant in the business. That is the problem. Otherwise people are good, but they never try. ये चलता है, सरकारी है, बस काम कर रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं. So that is the problem with us. They don't innovate themselves. That is the issue.
Perfect.
To be very frank.
Sir,
I think that is what I had mentioned earlier, that there are no upskillings and there are no people policies.
no people policies.
They're lacking on people policies.
So last round, starting with you. There are so many people here, they want to start their digital transformation journey. 2 minutes each. What advice would you give them if they want to start from digital? Should they start from cloud, AI, blockchain? Today there are so many names. You can't go into any meeting and not talk about this. So I thought maybe make this the last question.
About the technology, I am not the right person.
No,
to
you can
talk
start from
about.
business. Saying if they have to start a process on digital transformation, where do they start from?
No, it depends. It depends upon the requirement of the industry. Like for
Where did you start
Grid
from?
India perspective,
Yes, sir.
Then like artificial intelligence, significant forecasting, like artificial intelligence and machine learning is the requirement. Similarly, we are the registry for the renewable energy certificate market and carbon market. So in fact, we had only few days before only we had issued a tender, and we had invited the blockchain technology to be used for that portal.
Wow.
Currently, we are using the. There is already a software for running for last 14 years for managing this renewable energy certificate mechanism. So we had already in the new tender, we had asked specifically that the new software solution should be based upon the blockchain technology. The purpose is that, of course, it won't be a very large, only 5-6 nodes will be there, it won't be a very large system. But we will have the feeling of the blockchain technology, and we can generate the confidence among the users if those REC certificates are. So I think blockchain technology is the future.
Super.
Again, the carbon market is coming. So again, we are the registry for that. There also we had proposed that while giving the solution, blockchain application should be there, so that the authenticity of the certificate can be assured.
Sure.
So
Thank
in
you.
two sectors, I can say, from Grid India perspective, I can say artificial
Blockchain and
intelligence,
blockchain.
machine learning and blockchain technology.
Pradeep, sir.
The future.
So think that it is the change of business process.
It is a change of business process. So before entering digital transformation, you have to analyze the business and you know the vision, mission of the companies and what are the area where you will go for digitization, what are the benefits? There is a clear shared vision among the people and clear direction. Otherwise, you will be investing and 70% cases PSUs are failing in the digital transformation. So it has to start from the business process where you have to make a detailed analysis with clear shared vision, investment, return, and what are the benefits. Particularly, I have been working for manufacturing sector. So it is a time for go for the automations and process improvement, cost optimization. So slowly, each process you have to identify and you go for the digitization, and always you have to see the return on investment, how much the benefits and cost, that is to see. Otherwise, you will be investing and absolutely there is no result. So it about the change of leadership, and you have to think, and slowly you have to adopt this technology to remain in the business.
Thank you. I think excellent point. It's about the business first and then technology, right? It's not that your competitor is implementing AI, you also start implementing AI. You have to understand your business, your needs, your appetite, and then. Thank you. Sir, your closing comments, please.
I am also from finance background, so I am very much little known about technology. But I would like to say that, as Mr. Pradeep said, that we have to first analyze the cost-benefit analysis, how much we are going to invest, what we are going to gain it, and it also depends on the nature of business. Like e-commerce, certainly AI is required. That's all. Thank you.
No, superb. I think a lot of people don't understand the realistic value of return on investment or cost benefit analysis, right? There would be cases where probably the return on investment in such cases, not only in PSUs, in private sector could be 5 years plus, all right? When we were talking about year 2000, the core banking systems were coming, right? Everybody was asking 1 year, 2 years of return on investment. Actually, if you see, it took them about 10 years to come at a no profit, no loss situation and then start making money. Autopilot is another example. Autonomous cars. There are tons in blockchain implementation. You can't get, no matter how much you spend on a blockchain software implementation, you can't get the ROI in 18 months, 24 months. If somebody's making such a plan, I would love to see that plan then. So even startups, right?
Exactly. So I'm coming to that point.
Yeah.
So just one line before going anything. So data and digitization is the future. It doesn't matter whatever field you are going to opt in. Just a quick fact about the data and digitization again. So in India, we have the largest digital identity-based system at a global scale. India is also hosting the largest digital health program scheme by name of Ayushman Bharat, UIDAI. We also have the as high number of the digital transaction only through the UPI, which is like 3 times higher than the annual transaction of the US we complete in a month. So that is the level of the digitization which we have in India.
Number of people.
150,000 startups which we are having right now, which started like in 2016, it was only somewhere around 500 to 600 startups. And all the startups were able to get the digital certificate of the recognition by Government of India in different 56 plus sectors we have. 114 unicorns at a global level of scale. India is the 3rd largest startup ecosystem. Everything is being possible just because of the digitalization. Again, talking about the more into the technology vertical, under the Ministry of Electronics and IT, they recently launched 2 prominent schemes by name of India AI, which is focused into the AI ecosystem. The 5-year plan is for the 10,300 crores, which is 7th largest by the any country globally. The semiconductor you must have seen and listened about. In next upcoming 2 to 3 years, India will be the largest producer of the semiconductor industry. So that is where we are moving ahead, starting from the digitalization and the data. Thank you.
Super. Thank you. Sir, your opening.
Okay.
Closing comments, please.
Right. So what we were talking about is, again, digital transformation. When we talk about digital transformation, again, it is driven by the business needs, and there is no single solution. There's no single pill for every problem, and it would depend upon your organization. It would also depend upon. It doesn't depend upon your competition. If your competition is doing A,
something, yeah,
your needs from your competition may be different. And yes, you have to keep abreast of the latest technology, otherwise you will become obsolete. There are case studies on that. Having said that, again, ROI should not be a determining factor, because don't look at ROI, you also look at the accuracy and the quality of the deliverables, because most of these transformations are improving your accuracy, are improving the quality of your deliverables, which gets you a bigger market share.
Yes, so I loved your last point. ROI is not only about ROI on money. ROI could mean 10 different things, right? It could mean 10 different opportunities, brand elevation, etc., etc. I think I had a great time moderating this panel discussion. I learned a lot today. Please kindly give a huge round of applause to all my fellow panelists.
Thank you so much, Jaspreet sir, and all the speakers. Everybody, please put your hands together for such a productive discussion. And now we would like to felicitate. To do the honors, ladies and gentlemen, may I request Mr. 𝗖𝗃𝗍 Technocrat, EODB Program Director, NHEV President, CPOs of India and ex-CAG member. Please put your hands together, sir. Please join us to do the honors. Presenting this token of felicitation for the panel discussion. Yeah. Please present it to Mr. Jaspreet Singh. Everybody put your hands together. Everybody please put your hands together for our moderator. Thank you. Now may I request Mr. Pradeep 𝗃𝗃 please come forward, sir. Everybody please put your hands together. May I request Mr. Manoj Kumar Agarwal. Everybody please, sir, join us. Put your hands together. Thank you. Requesting Mr. Rajesh Kumar to please come forward. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of our panel discussion. Requesting Mr. Surya Kant sir, please join us. Everyone, please put your hands together. Thank you. Requesting Mr. Suneel, please join us. Everybody put your hands together for Mr. Suneel Wattal. Thanks to all the speakers and moderator. Please